Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm Dr. Partha Nandi, for those who have not met me. And listen, a lot of us are going through a ton of emotions last week. So love to be able to talk about that. Again, thank you for joining me on this Tuesday afternoon. I'm live in Detroit, Michigan. I'd love for you guys to join me in the next about 30 minutes or so as we talk a little bit about what's going on. Lots of emotions going through people's minds. And so love to be able to handle those and talk about those and give you a perspective as a father, as a physician, as just like all of you citizens of this amazing country, kind of just wondering what's going on. So again, thank you for those of you who are joining us. We're talking about anger, and what's it all about? I mean, a lot of us are. To me, it's just mind blowing and bewildering what's happened in not just last week when all of us, have heard about what happened in Texas, right? In elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, where we had 19 people, 19 kids die and two adults. And what really crushes my soul is that these beautiful children, my kids are the same age, and we could have lost my kids in a situation like this. So it made me think, I've got to talk about this. Not only just, a lot of people are angry, and I'm angry too. But what can we do? What are the solutions here? What can we do to make this happen? A fourth grade teacher, several sets of cousins, a 10-year-old boy who the family called life at the party were amongst those who were killed at in Texas. 19 kids, two teachers, unnecessarily, with no warning, were killed. In these beautiful children will not be able to grow up to become what they want to be, to have celebrations with their family. And it really makes me, when we talk about being your own health hero, we give people solutions. It really makes me think, what can we do about it? For those 19 kids and two teachers, I'm just going to have a moment of silence, just a moment of silence, just a few seconds to honor their memory. So if you could join me in this moment of silence. Thank you for that. These beautiful people, we will never be able to enjoy all the gifts that they have to give to the planet. So it makes me think, as a parent, obviously there's so many questions, right? What are we going to do in this country? How are we going to get beyond it? To me, it's a really a cultural issue. It's not just, as some people talk about, a mental health issue alone, or is it? It's not about really having more um, stricter security in the schools. It's really about a culture that values guns and values firearms, and it's tough because as a doctor, we spend a lifetime saving one life, and with one action, somebody wipes out the lives of so many people, and it's really disheartening. So to me, it talks about, what can we do, right? What can we do about anger? This 18-year-old person, right? This 18-year-old gunman just decided in a fit of rage and fury to take the lives of all these people. Now, obviously, there's a whole discussion we could have, right, about, man, we've got to be able to have gun control laws, and I agree with that. I think we need to do that. But what else can we do? Can we also approach this by saying, what exactly is happening? Right? What exactly is happening that there's so much anger? Anger medically is defined as a negative emotional state. This person who went in and just killed all these people. I mean, he was there for over an hour, right? Just shooting people, just massacring them. What is happening to these people? I mean, that's what all of my patients, they ask me, they go, what is happening to this person, right? So anger is a negative emotional state. It's defined as that. It can be just mild irritation. You get irritated at somebody, somebody bothers you, to intense fury and rage. This gunman was totally out of control. His body is taken over by the rage. And what happens in your body, right? Biologically and physiologically, when you get angry, your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, all of your fight or flight hormones. What that means is that you're not using a lot of reasoning when you have this kind of rage. You're not thinking about consequences often, right? You're talking about people who are in such an action that they're just in a state where they're not focusing well and they're not processing well. Anger can be caused by lots of things, right? External, internal events. You could be angry at a specific person, at a family member. My boss criticized me, somebody who's driving crazy. We've all been there, right? But what happens to folks that have fury and rage? The response is completely out of proportion with what actually is happening, and it can't be controlled, right? According to experts who actually specialize in anger management, some people are more like hot-headed or lack control when they have anger than others. They get angry more easily and more intensely than the average person does. There are also those who don't show anger and in loud, like, I'm screaming and I'm upset, but they do it. They're constantly irritable, right? You met those people that just kind of always are upset when you talk to them. And so it's not always one thing alone. And today I'll talk about what can we do about this from the gut. Can the gut, which we talked about, there's a connection between the mind and the gut. How can the gut actually do something about this? It's a horrific problem, right? What a tragedy. When I heard it, I was driving to work and it crushed me because I could not believe it. Could not believe this happened, and could not believe that we as a society are not treating this as the most important topic right now. So I said, what can I do? Obviously, I'm going to talk to my legislators. You should too. Talk to your congressmen, talk to your senators, and say enough is enough. We got to do something about this. Got to stop the politics. And this is not 1776. This is now. We have people with semi-automatic weapons that are crushing people's lives. So we got to do something about it. But from a medical standpoint, what can we do? How can we figure out this whole issue about anger? What is it that we can do to make this better? So we know that anger, what causes it, right? There could be genetic or physiological, meaning that some people may have genetic traits that they're born irritable, touchy, very easily angered, and these signs can come up at an early age. We've all met children that even at an early age are very are seem to be more angry. Now it's not 100%, but there is some evidence to show that. Now some people and experts actually talk about it being physiological, right? Meaning that it could actually be something that is within your what your body produces. It also can be socio-cultural, right? So anger is often in a lot of cultures, it's negative. We're all taught that it's right to be, you gotta let people know how it is, but you can't go overboard. You can't lose control, right? Some people just don't know how to handle anger. It's so important. And research suggests that family backgrounds, that the family you belong to and how they respond to anger is important. So for all the parents who are watching, right? When you act out in a irrational, uncontrolled manner, you have to remember your kids are watching. They're going to be able to pick up on that. So people who get angry easily, from families that are often disruptive, chaotic, and not good at emotional communication, they lose it. And so there is some research that suggests that it could be from their background and where they grow up. So we have opportunities here to stop it. We're parallel, it's not exclusively, but parallel to that, we're talking about how are we going to deal with these guns. But what about medically? What can we do with anger? What can we do with management of anger? And what is the gut microbiome? Remember, for those who've been watching, I'm on live every week, 5:30 Eastern on Tuesday. And by now, if you've watched me before, But if you learn that, the gut microbiome are trillions of bugs in the intestinal system, and these bugs, they don't seem to have a lot of intellect, right? But they produce things that could make things different for you. One of the things I teach my kids, I've talked about this, is that your thoughts may not be your own, right? Remember, a thought is just a chemical reaction. It's a reaction between two neurons that are cells in your body create a thought. So the neurotransmitters, the chemicals around there, determine what kind of thought you may have, right? So it's very important. Remember, the gut is an organ system. The mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, the intestine plays a major role, not only for your digestive system, but for your brain and the rest of your bodies. And researchers now have discovered that the gut and the brain are what? Closely connected and continually in communication with each other. The brain, very, very complex, produces thoughts, action, memory, feeling, and experience. Now, for those of you who's joining us, we're talking about we've had these horrendous events that have happened. One of which has been in Texas, Uvalde, Texas, where 19 kids, 2 adults died, and we've got to be able to get a handle rather on what's going on. I mean, obviously, a lot of us are talking about how we're going to be controlling guns, how we're going to be able to make better laws. But then I also want to talk about is that medically, what can we do about this anger, this epidemic of anger? It's not just in Texas. There's so many events that have happened, and it's happening in our nation, and it's happening in the nation that we love. And so, to me, it's important that we say, what can we do? How can we be health heroes? So we're talking about now the gut and how the microbiome can affect the brain, right? Emotions that are felt in the gut, sadness, anger, nervousness, fear, joy, all of it can be felt in the gut. If a person has an anxious mind, it can cause stress in the body, causing disharmony in the gut. And similarly, problems in the gut can cause an imbalance of the mind. So the gut and digestive system, for those you're watching us, can affect things like energy levels, motivation, clarity in thought, intuitive decision making. All these things can really be affected by the gut. And a brain that doesn't have a healthy gut will not be able to function as well. It's just important, right? A brain that needs optimal gut functioning. And when the gut and the brain are optimally functioning, more alert, and we're healthier. And we can control and be able to manage things like what? Anger and unrest. So this is what's really important, to make sure that we understand that we have control over our lives, right? We have control over our emotions. If we have a healthy gut, which we can control, we can do this better. We can actually make a big difference. So how can gut bacteria affect brain function? How can it possibly make anger better or worse, right? Gut organisms, the trillions of bugs, are simple, but they can affect behaviors, they can affect thoughts, affect anger, affect actions. And so these microbiome have several ways in which they can affect our brains. For example, gut bacteria, they produce these chemicals called neurotransmitters. You get the wrong neurotransmitters, your body will not be able to have certain optimal functions, right? If you don't make enough neurotransmitters. For example, gut bacteria can produce dopamine. You may have heard of that. Norepinephrine, acetylcholine, GABA, all are critical for mood, anxiety, concentration, motivation. So when you have an imbalance, you can potentially create situations that we've seen in Texas, in places where people have anger that's out of control. Well, remember, serotonin, one of our feel good hormones, neurotransmitters, the bacteria in the gut produce up to 95% of the body's supply of it. Right? Lower levels of serotonin, what does it do? Leads to increased anger, irritability, anxiety, depression. So you want to have more serotonin. Even a small shift in bacterial imbalance, right? So the stuff that we talk about, the microbiome, even a small shift can really lead to a big difference, right? In studies, when we look at mice studies, researchers found that anxious mice, when given water and you lace it with helpful bacteria, were less likely to give up during a physical challenge. When they're stressed, they're less likely to give up and produce less of the stress hormone corticosteroid. So it basically showed a reduction in the stuff that we don't want. And researchers also found a 30-day course of probiotic bacteria significantly decreased anxiety and depression. So we're talking about anger, right? We're talking about we're all bewildered, frustrated about all the anger, all these crazy things that are going on, like shootings in our society. Can we then say, if we can help our gut health, we can help our brain health? And if we can help our brain health, we can make a huge impact in these tragedies. To me, we can do that. But it starts with all of us, right? We have to understand that we have the control, we have the power to make this happen. And it's not just about reading lists or talking about, probiotics. You have to actually do it. And we can make a change. So each of you who are watching, if you could share this with others, we want to be able to create this type of knowledge to go worldwide. So children who are being affected with these disorders of anger, anxiety, irritability, if we can change their gut health, we may be able to help them have a chance to be able to come out of this whole cycle of getting anxious, getting irritable, and then possibly, doing the kinds of things we talked about. I mean, 19 kids dead, 2 adults dead for no reason. Anger, uncontrolled aggression. Got to be able to get this controlled. Last week, I talked about 7 foods for those who were watching me, 7 foods that could help serotonin levels. I'll repeat them again, and my team will put this up as well. 7 foods that can help serotonin levels: eggs, cheese, pineapples, tofu, salmon, nuts, seeds, and turkey. Now, listen, I don't want you to have 3 pounds of egg or 2 dozen eggs or 2 pounds of cheese. It's in moderation, but when we have these foods, it's critical to understand that they can help you with the balance, right? It can help you with having more serotonin. Having more serotonin does what? Gives you the power to be able to give you emotions that are positive and not be irritable and not be anxious and angry. And in my superfoods cookbook, which we'll put up here also in a link, we in my comment section, you'll find several recipes for almost all these ingredients. One of my favorite is the salmon and egg frittata. Very tasty, and 2 key ingredients that can help increase serotonin levels. Really important, because you want to give your body a chance to be able to do this, right? What else can you do besides having foods to produce serotonin? Spend time in the sun. Now, of course, please wear sunscreen. Remember to be able to control the amount of direct sun you get, because you also want to protect yourself from skin cancer. But if you don't want to be in the sun, try bright light therapy. When light enters your eyes, it stimulates the part of your retina that cues your brain to produce serotonin. So it's amazing. Exercise, right? We talk about one of the fundamental pillars that health heroes have is movement with purpose. When you exercise, moderate physical exercise increases levels of serotonin as well as tryptophan. That's the precursor to serotonin. That's what comes before serotonin. This persists long after you finish exercising, suggesting that activity builds resilience, right? It builds power for you and can help improve mood. And exercise also reduces psychological stress. That's pent up, right? Improves circulations, decreases pain, all of which help you to decrease anxiety, anger, and aggression. And meditation, I've talked about this. One of my favorite techniques helps to reduce stress, helps to reduce stress, lower blood pressure, stimulates improved mood. And I also have a Calming the Chaos guide that I'll put up. We talk about a 7-day Calming the Chaos guided meditation, only 5 minutes. You'll not only feel relaxed afterwards, but you can sense that feeling of calm that you need. And so it's really important that there are ways you can really counteract this. And to me, it's really important when, lots of people are upset about what's been going on. Lots of people, right? However, we need solutions. Obviously, we need our legislators to do our part. We need our country to do our part. We need our citizens to do our part. But what can we do from health and wellness? What can we do to really change this at the societal level? So please share this with others who you think would benefit. And if we as parents can help our kids to understand this at a young age, it could be a difference maker. Besides food, meditation, like the pillars we talked about, what are some other ways to help anger? When you start to feel angry, these are some tools. When you start to feel angry, take steps to calm yourself as soon as you can. Try to think before you react or speak. Imagine if the gunman did this with Uvalde. Maybe he took time to think and say, you know what, I don't want to do this. I shouldn't do this. These poor innocent kids. Maybe we would have had a better outcome and not have these poor children die. When you are angry and you realize you're out of control, take steps to calm yourself. Count 1 to 10. Take take deep breathing exercises. Confide in friends, right? Tell them, hey, it's making you angry, and preferably someone who's not connected to the situation that's making you angry. Support groups, even online, where people use their experience to help others. Identify possible solutions instead of focusing on what makes you mad. Talk about solutions, right? If listen to all kinds of mental health guides are all over. You can even have look at podcasts, right? But there are audio guides, just like my Calming the Chaos, that we put up that you can download, or try anger management classes and practice gratitude. This is an important one. This is difficult to do, but it's really important. Practice gratitude, right? Focus on what is right, what you're grateful for, and if you count the number of great things in your life, it can help you neutralize anger. It doesn't mean that you're grateful for all the bad things that are happening to you, but be grateful for the good things and try to be able to internalize that positivity. It will allow you to be able to manage all the negativity and the anger that's brewing inside of you. So again, I just want to talk about all of you and I love any comments that you can make, and I'll address those. As a father, as a physician, I spend countless hours every day trying to save lives, and it's just so upsetting that you have somebody come in and snuff out so many lives, 21 lives. And what can we do? Please talk to your legislators, to your senators and congressmen and women, and let them know, hey, we've got to be able to do something here. We cannot allow these tragedies just to become part of the news. Oh, okay, it happened to them. There is no them. It's only us. We've got to be able to take hold of this and say, we as a country, it's a great nation, best nation in the world to me. Got to take hold of this and say, we've got to be able to do better. Remember also on a local level, to me, it's always about what happens in your family. Our gut is our second brain and sends signals to our main brain, right? The gut microbiome can change how our brains react. We can help to manage anger. We can help to manage aggression. We can teach our kids how to be able to manage it. Take care of your gut. Have great food that's probiotics and prebiotics that can help your gut produce the right hormones, the right transmitters, so you can also have a fighting chance against anger and aggression. If you feel like anger is a cause for alarm, get help. Remember, I talked about techniques when you are in the moment of anger. Please try to use those, right? Maybe take steps to calm yourself. Think before you react. Count from 1 to 10. Deep breathing. Confide in people that can help you. Really, really important. Again, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's a lot of wonderful choices and beautiful weather. Thank you for joining us. I'll just acknowledge Laura Probert. Absolutely heartbreaking what happened to those kids, and continues to be heartbreaking. We just can't forget. We've got to be able to act. We've got to be able to do more than just talk about it on the news and say, "Oh boy, it's terrible." Josephine Urtrell says a 12-year-old girl died today after getting hit by a 23-year-old's car in Belle Isle. The 14-year-old, I'm sorry to hear that, Josephine. Belle Isle, for those of you who are not from Detroit, again, let us know where you're from, and what questions you have or any comments. Love to do that, and also share it with all the people that you like and love. And we'd love to be able to have other communities besides ours to be able to hear this, so we can have tools that can really help each other. Mickey Tooley says, let us know where you're from, Mickey. This country lacks available, affordable mental health options for the middle class. I agree with you, and I think that's a huge problem. And I think that besides that, right, we have to be able to tackle that. I think we can go even to the root causes to say, how can we help? How can we help the brain, and how can we help the psychological health as well as brain health? And the gut is a great start. Gut health can be a great start for us to be able to make those changes, make health heroes, to understand that we have control of our lives. Kay says, in the moment when you learn about what has happened, how to emotionally recenter, and how to overcome the anger, So I think it's important, if you count from 1 to 10, take a deep breath, center yourself, and say, "What can I do? This is not who I am, right? This is not who I am, and I'd like to be able to make a different choice." So you don't lose control, you don't lose sight of what's really important. I think that having somebody you can call is super important. It really is. And then Tammy Feldbush says she's from Detroit, Michigan. So thank you. And good afternoon, Tiffany. Thank you so much. Again, if you have, when this plays again, if you have any questions, any comments, we'd love to address each and every one of them. And again, share this with your community. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it. I'm Dr. Partha Nandi, and all these beautiful people are in our prayers. And I know all of you who are watching are keeping them in your prayers, and make sure you don't forget them. Make sure that their lives are not lost in vain, as their family said. I remember a young girl who always wanted to. I think she wanted to be an attorney. She wanted to make a change, and the family said maybe she can make a change now. So don't forget their lives. Take action and act in your own family. Right? We talked about gut health. Take advantage of that information and act in your own family, but act also to talk to your senators and congressmen and women, and let them know that we're not going to continue to do nothing. And if they're not going to be able to help us, then you can always vote and make a change. So remember, make healthy living a part of every day. Namaste. Thank you for joining us today. I'll talk to you real soon. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Partha Nandi, and if you enjoyed that video, you're going to love the next one. It's full of incredible information to help you start your health hero journey.